Welcome to episode 13 of Raj's Minecraft Guide, and today I'm going to be building an iron farm minaret that was easy to build, and then I'm also going to be building a sniffer farm. So let's get started. The spot where I'm building this iron farm is in the same area as the villager trading hall and the villager breeder, keeping all the villager related farms in the same area. Originally this was because the bad omen effect and not triggering a raid, but now that has been changed in the 1.21 update, so you don't get the bad omen effect unless you drink an ominous bottle. Anyways, having these farms close together makes it easier to transport the villagers, plus this iron farm only needs 3 villagers to work. I'll have a link in the description to the tutorial for this farm. I chose this farm because I had some problems with my previous iron farms where the zombies would randomly despawn. I wanted to try something a bit different. This is a simple farm to build, so I thought I would give it a try. I will say I had some problems with this iron farm and had to make some modifications, which I'll go over. I did go overboard with this as I built it higher up than it needed to be. This only needs to be 17 blocks above the ground, not to have the iron golem spawn outside of the spot you want, but of course I did it a lot more than it needed to be. The first part was building the steps, then trying to get the zombies into a boat. Because the zombies are in a boat, you don't have to do the name tag trick for this, because they won't despawn if they're in a boat. It was very easy to get the zombies in the boat as they just followed me, trying to zombify me of course, and when they were within range of the boat they got stuck in there, which is exactly what I want. Then after that I need to get the boat into a 1 block space. I pushed it using pistons and redstone blocks, and the idea for this is that the zombies have to be close to the villagers but not be able to reach them, so that's why you're trying to get them on a 1 block spot. From there I built 3 pods for the villagers, each having a bed, and them being able to see the zombies. So the villagers need to be able to sleep for this farm to work, and they also need to be able to see the zombies so that they can panic and spawn the iron golems. Next was putting villagers in their pods, which of course was challenging. It was harder to get them out of the villager breeder than in the farm. After that I got the unemployed villagers and just kept placing composters down to get them to try and move towards them. This was way easier than having them in boats, which I usually do. The last part of the farm is building the area on top for the iron golems to spawn and the killing area at the bottom. Iron golems can spawn in flowing water, plus you have to make it so they can only spawn in that area, hence the torches, the blocks of glass, and the half slabs. I did sort of mess this up a bit as I didn't line up the lava area correctly, but eventually I fixed that. After I built the farm, there were still some problems with the iron farm, so one of the villagers kept turning into a zombie. The boat with the zombie wasn't on the 1 block I wanted. It basically was in a spot where it kept turning the villager into a zombie. So I tried a couple times to do the piston trick to force the boat into the spot I wanted, but it didn't work. I had to keep putting a villager in because you have to have 3 villagers gossiping for this farm to work. Even though I had these problems, the farm was still producing a good quantity of iron. After that, I built the minaret part surrounding the farm. The finished iron farm minaret. So what I did was different blackstone blocks for the base. I tried a block gradient that is red going from different netherrack blocks to red mushroom blocks, and there is a break with the acacia platform. It's hard to see what I did with the white gradient. It doesn't show well, especially from a distance, but there is different blocks like concrete, diorite, polished diorite, and birch logs, and on top of that is a dome of amethyst blocks, and there is copper in there also. And the inside, I went with warped stem planks and logs for the floor, quartz blocks with cyan terracotta for the walls and ceilings. There is an item sorting system to separate the poppies from the iron ingots. While I was building the minaret, I was also trying to fix the iron farm. So eventually, because I couldn't get the zombie on the spot where it wouldn't reach the villager, I just made the other sides bigger to fit more villagers inside. The only downside of this is that if one of the villagers becomes zombies, all of them will become zombies and I'll need to replace all of them. But this is way easier than having to get villagers inside and the farm not working until I realized that villager is a zombie. Now for something a bit different, building a sniffer farm. So I have one sniffer already, but I should get another, specifically if I want more sniffer eggs. Sniffer eggs can only be found in the warm ocean ruins. Luckily there is a warm area north of my base with lots of deserts and badlands, which means there should be a good chunk of lukewarm and warm oceans with warm ocean ruins. It was a lot of elytra flight, just looking for the right spot. I was looking for bright spots that were sea lanterns on the oceans and trying to avoid ocean monuments. Ocean ruins are occupied with the drowned, so of course I had to deal with those guys. After that, it was a lot of brushing suspicious sand. I mean a lot of brushing suspicious sand. Very disappointingly brushing suspicious sand. Eventually, after brushing about 100 suspicious sand blocks, that might not be an exaggeration, I finally got a sniffer egg. For this farm, I don't have a plan. I'm just going to wing it. That usually is a really bad idea when building something like this. However, I just want to practice building. Plus, all you have to do with this is have a rail system under the blocks to pick up the torchflower seeds and the pitcher pods. So I have a bunch of random blocks that I think will look good together, and let's see what I can build. So here is the finished result. So you can see I was experimenting a lot with this. I was placing blocks, then removing them and putting them somewhere else. You can see that there's a garden in the front where I can plant the seeds, and the farm has different levels and a walkway up to see the sniffers. It isn't flat, and you can see that the two sniffers are in here, and I use cobbled deep slate around the edges, and it has more of an organic field with the moss blocks, and I put some foliage around here also. Underneath is the collection system with the rails. It picks up any seeds and puts them in the chest. There is no tutorial for this as I kind of just wung it. It is pretty easy to build. It's kind of similar to my melon and pumpkin farm in a certain way. The last thing I wanted to do in this episode was work on my villager trading hall, as there are some issues with it. I also wanted to detail it a bit. The first big issue is that because I made it an open air market, zombies are still getting into it and turning the villagers into zombie villagers. So right now, half of my villagers in the trading hall are zombie villagers, which makes the trading hall completely useless because you can't really trade with zombie villagers. So I'm out of brewing ingredients for brewing potions, so I went to the nether fortress, which is close to my nether portal, and I got a bunch of blaze rods. I brewed a bunch of the splash potions of weakness so that I could cure the zombie villagers. I went through and cured all of them, throwing the potions at them and feeding them golden apples. This was really expensive as I don't have a lot of gold ingots right now. Also, there were some random blocks because I had changed the look of the trading hall at one point, so I just switched some of the sandstone into brick around the villagers. Also, the paths around the trading hall had some sandstone, so that I had to switch to mud brick, and I want to build something in the center of the trading hall to make it a focal point. So I had to switch out the grass area and some of the sandstone with mud bricks and also mushroom blocks and packed mud. What I did in the middle was to make some market stalls. Instead of having some random chests like I had on the side before, I changed it so that these market stalls would have different things. So one of them had anvils with enchanted books for putting enchantments on the gear, making it more efficient to do it here than have to go somewhere else to do it. The second is for the items. I'm trading with the villagers. Third was for crafting, and there is an ender chest there, and I honestly can't remember what the fourth one was for, but there is a fourth one. I also wanted to put some lighting in here for the outdoor market, so I put in some stripped spruce logs and some fence gates with some lanterns, and here is what it looks like. Way more going on, and there's a lot more detail than before. I'm still going to be tweaking it a bit as I get ideas for this, but there is more going on. Last was removing some of the stairs, because right now there are way too many entrances into the trading hall. Plus, I got rid of some of the iron gates around it, as hostile mobs can go through the iron gates, which I did not realize. I thought they acted like fences, but they do not. And here is the end result. The quartz is just temporary until I get an idea on what to do on the walls. I hope my idea of an open market is working for this. I guess you guys will have to let me know. Anyways, that was quite a bit of work for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching.